The SI base units aren't always a convenient size for the kind of work we're doing. If I'm a biologist, I want to measure, say, the sizes of cells. And cells are about a millionth of a meter, so meter is too big a unit to measure cell diameters in. Or if I'm a chemist and I want to measure the size of molecules, molecules tend to be trillionths of a meter across. Maybe 100 trillion meters for a small molecule. So a meter is too big a unit for those kind of jobs. If I'm an astronomer, sometimes a meter is too small. If I'm describing the distance between stars, a meter is really small compared to that. So there is a way to adjust the sizes of the base units to be more convenient. And it's to use a prefix in front of the unit. Now one of these we've already seen, so let's touch on that. Suppose I have 3,000 meters. Now, I can write that in scientific notation as 3 times 10 to the 3 meters. And there is an abbreviation in the SI system for times 10 to the 3, and it's kilo with a lowercase k. So I can write this with the abbreviation replacing this part. 3 kilometers, or if I stress it a little differently so it flows a little bit better, kilometers, 3 kilometers. So that K is just an abbreviation for times 10 to the 3. Now there's a handful of these that you need to know, and you need to memorize them. Why? Because if you're going to encounter them so frequently that if you're looking them up every time, you're going to be spending a lot of time looking things up. Better to just put it in your long-term memory. So let's look at the ones you need to know. There's a list of them in the book that's longer than the ones you need to know. I'm only going to give you the ones that people use on an everyday basis in different fields that you're likely to be in, especially health fields. Okay, when I'm memorizing a list of things, it helps to organize it somehow. So let's talk about the big prefixes first. When I have numbers that are bigger than 1. If I have trillions of something, or I say times 10 to the 12, that's trillions, the abbreviation for that is tera. So if I say I have a 4 terabyte drive, it means that I have 4 times 10 to the 12 bytes. Bytes being a unit of computer storage. It's the amount of memory that you need to hold generally a single typed character. So that's tera is just an abbreviation for that. Billions is times 10 to the 9. And its abbreviation is G for giga. So if I have something that is 4 gigagrams, that's the same thing as saying 4 times 10 to the 9 grams. It's just an abbreviation for that. Millions is times 10 to the 6. And that's a capital M. Capitalization matters. That's mega. So if someone talks about a bomb and they say it's a 4 megaton hydrogen bomb, that means 4 million tons of TNT is equivalent to that explosion. So millions is mega. And thousands is times 10 to the 3, and that's kilo. So those are all the big ones to remember. If I write down 4.7 megagrams, That's 4.7 times 10 to the 6 grams. See, you're just making a substitution there. That's all. And I can go the other way too. If I have 4, 7, if I have that many grams, if I put that in scientific notation, it's going to be a little easier to see. If I have a power of 10 here, I can see that I can bump the decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to get it just to the right of the first non-zero digit. I can write that as 4.7 megagrams. They're all the same thing. All right, those are all the big ones you need to know. What about the little ones? Well, one you'll use a lot in health sciences is tenths. They'll say, draw a deciliter of blood. And they're talking about a tenth of a liter of blood. Now, this is the first time I'm mentioning liters. Let's do a little aside then. Liters are a unit of volume that we like to use in chemistry. The abbreviation can be an uppercase L, and there are some people that use a lowercase l. Now, it's not in the SI base units. It's not a base unit, but it's a unit of volume. And we'll use it quite a bit in chemistry. You'll see that you saw that we read graduated cylinders off in milliliters. I'll define it in just a minute, but it's about a quart. All right, so if I have a deciliter of blood, I have a tenth of a liter of blood, about a tenth of a quart. And the abbreviation for deci, for tenths, is a D. Hundredths is times 10 to the minus 2. And that's centi. So if I have a centimeter, that's a hundredth of a meter. Thousandths would be times 10 to the minus 3. And that's milli. Now I can go back to liter again and finish defining it for you. It's a unit of volume. Its abbreviation is either capital L, that's most common, or a lowercase l. Some people still use that. And here's its definition. Now, volume, we said, is a length cubed. 1 centimeter cubed is 1 milliliter. So now that I know what a milli is, a centimeter cubed is 1,000th of a milliliter. So when you say a milliliter, that's the same thing as a cubic centimeter. Let's put a box around that. That's the definition of a liter. Now there's another one you can remember that's kind of like that. A 1,000 cubic centimeters is a liter. Same thing as this. I think this one's easier to remember than that one. All right, so that's an aside. So now I can say liters and you know what I'm talking about. It's a unit of volume that we sometimes use in chemistry even though it's not an SI base unit. All right, let's go on with this. There aren't too many more. Millionths is times 10 to the minus 6. And we've used uppercase M for mega and a lowercase m for milli, so we're kind of out of M for millionths. So we use a Greek letter M, which is the Greek letter mu. Looks like a lowercase u with a tail on the beginning of it. And they call that micro. So a red blood cell is about 5 micrometers across, and that means it's 5 times 10 to the minus 6 meters across. Now when we go down to billions, that's times 10 to the minus 9. And that's nano, lowercase n. So when we're talking about virus sizes, they tend to be a few nanometers across. Coronavirus is like 140 nanometers across. Trillionths is times 10 to the minus 12. And that's a lowercase p, that's pico. An oxygen molecule, we'll see later on in this lesson, is about 121 picometers across. So this is like, picometers are like molecule sizes, hundreds of picometers. Nanometers are virus-sized. Micrometers are cell-sized. Millimeters, you're starting to talk about tiny little insects. And it goes up from there. These are the ones that you need to know. And I'm going to put a big box around this whole table. If you memorize this table, you know the SI prefixes. Now I'm asking you just to use the prefixes in the question below.